Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you've had a great Monday, a great start to your work week. There's a few things to talk about. What looks to be a decently active week as far as just weather systems in general. One being the one that cranks up overnight tonight into tomorrow for Florida and the southeast. And what looks to be part of that system is going to phase with a piece of northern energy and has the chance to be a winter storm and just a coastal storm for areas of the northern Northeast. And then it looks like areas of the Northeast are just in general going to have a pretty active pattern. I really think it's going to be a wintry week. For anybody who lives in the interior Northeast and the mountainous areas of Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, I really think y'all are going to have a nice wintry holiday week as we lead up to Christmas, with an active pattern up there, with y'all being just cold enough, but it's still kind of above average temperature wise up there, but a little above average for you folks in the Northeast. Is certainly still cold enough for snow for a lot of folks up there. But we're going to continue to talk about what's going on forward to tomorrow. Really going to try to see if there's anything that's really changing the pattern. So I'll break that down tomorrow. First and foremost, as we're getting closer to the new year, it obviously doesn't look like I'm going to hit that goal of 10,000 subscribers, especially looking forward. It doesn't look like there's going to be much to talk about through the new year, but I'm starting to notice that my channel still does very well, even in the slow periods. So that gives me a lot of confidence for the future. So I just want to, as always, it might get a little annoying here after a while, just appreciate the support, even when it's slow. I remember when there was a time when my goal for each video was 100 views. And now, even in the slow periods, which is kind of right now, almost all my videos get almost 1,000 views every single video. So I've came a long way, and it's all thanks to y'all, and I really appreciate all y'all. I want to say thanks to people who's also joined my channel. Starting next year, I'm going to start sending stuff out to you guys. So for anybody who's joined my channel, join tab right there. I'm going to start sending a couple little gifts out to you guys. I got some plans I'm starting to figure up in my head as we get into the new year. But that joining my channel is just an opportunity to financially give, $10 or so a month just to what I do. And people who have decided to do that, I really appreciate it. I really do. And I just appreciate everybody that continue to watch my stuff, even in the slow period, when the growth is extremely slow. But very excited about the winter. It's just a matter of time. It's been a very slow start to winter. It really has. This time last year, I feel like we were already talking about a nor'easter that hit the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We were already talking about a big-time mountain event that happened on December 1st last year. And this time last year, we were starting to talk about a major storm system that ended up actually giving a lot of areas a white Christmas very far south. So there was a lot to talk about last December. This December, not really a lot, and it's just because the crappy pattern we've really been in. But let me get off that. If you guys have not subscribed, subscribe. If you've not liked the video, like the video. And let's get going here as we're almost 3.5 minutes deep into the intro. So what we got going on here, what we're going to talk about is we're going to focus on this storm that we've been talking about for Florida, how it's going to impact Florida in the southeast. And then we're going to talk about how this piece of energy looks like it's going to phase with this piece of energy and what that means. So going forward here, this low pressure is going to plow right into areas like Tampa Bay and central Florida. What that's going to do is bring very windy, breezy, gusty conditions. I'm talking upwards of 40 mile per hour wind gusts, maybe a 50 mile per hour, depending on if you're under a very intense storm. Under the low pressure, a 30 to 40 knot low level jet, maybe a little higher forms. So it creates a little bit of a bulk shear in place down here south of this low pressure. So any storms that develop from central Florida point south tomorrow afternoon will have a chance to have a little bit of a rotation to it. So right now, we're still under a marginal risk. It has not upgraded to slight like I thought it could. That's a good news. But as this system moves through, tomorrow rain cranks up in the Carolinas. I'll talk about us here in the Carolinas here in a second. But as this moves up the coast, it starts to merge with this piece of energy right here, right at the end. And this brings a pretty significant snow event for definite Maine, and watch Vermont here, maybe even New Hampshire and far western areas of Massachusetts. But for you in Boston, it's sad, but you got a nice setup here, but there's just not enough cold air. So it looks like it's just going to be a raging rainstorm potentially for areas like Boston and the coastal areas, just due to basically too much warm air advection, basically, meaning too much warm air aloft, and it's just going to be a cold rainstorm. But let's get a little bit deeper into the Florida storm, then we'll talk about the next storm. But there's still a marginal risk down here in Florida. You look at the tornado risk for tomorrow, 2% chance, 25 miles of any given location. So there is a small risk for tornadoes. Wind threat tomorrow, 5%. So nothing crazy significant, and I really don't think it's going to be anything crazy or significant. But as we get into the early morning hours, 4 or 5 a.m., this is the NAM, which tends to overdo convection here. But I think as far as where it hits, where the low pressure moves on shore, I think it has a lot better of an idea than the HRRR model. The NAM is a little bit more in agreement where this low pressure is going to make landfall here in Florida than I feel like the HRRR model is. It's in more agreement with the European and the GFS. But if you look at these little storms, they're very hard to see here in Florida as we're getting into around noon, into the early afternoon hours. These little storms right in here, they can have some rotation to them, and they can prompt a tornado warning or two tomorrow. I really think so. So watch out here. So as this continues to move on, there's probably going to be some intense storms associated with the actual low pressure potentially. Then this gets offshore, and the rain really starts to crank up for the Carolinas. One thing I want to mention for us in the Carolinas, tomorrow morning, as some showers begin to make its way in as we get into 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. On your morning commute tomorrow, if you're in like the Midlands, the PD, Columbia to Florence, maybe even the Sand Hills area, Fayetteville, of North Carolina, I would not be surprised one bit if you hear a little bit of pitter-pattering on your windshield on the way to work, and there might be a little bit of sleet mixing in with the rain before the air, for basically the air gets saturated. And the wet bulb is met aloft, and enough warm air moves in aloft to make it where it's basically not going to snow, guys. But a little bit of sleet, I really think, sometime in the morning hours. Especially watch out for areas in the upstate. If any heavier moisture can get in the upstate, and I would not be surprised if it does, because a lot of times moisture gets further north than what is modeled, there could be a brief period of some flurries and then some sleet and some rain. Nothing's going to accumulate though. But let me tell you, this is going to be a raw day for the Carolinas. I mean cold winter, cold, miserable rain. If you don't like those kind of days, you are not going to like tomorrow. For instance, I'll look at soundings right here as we're getting into about 6 p.m. tomorrow for around Columbia, South Carolina. It's pointing out 39 degrees and raining. And look at this stout warm nose. It's the low pressure right off the coast. That tells me that the dew points, your wet bulb is at 39. If you had dew points way down here in the 20s, that'd be good. That means the wet bulb, that means that you could have a little bit of evaporative cooling. And that's what's going to happen in the morning tomorrow for the Carolinas. That's why I think when some evaporative cooling occurs, normally you get a little bit of sleet on the onset. So do not be surprised more if you're in the Carolinas and hear a little bit of sleet. As far as the system down here in Florida, I really think there's going to be some stronger winds at the surface, 30, 40, 50 mile per hour winds potentially for, a couple hours, especially. Watch out Tampa Bay, Clearwater, Florida. This moves on shore. It's going to be very breezy in the morning hours and early afternoon hours, I really think, as this moves on shore. Very breezy offshore, and it might be even windy here in the Carolinas and Georgia. As far as those temperatures, when I was talking about, this was today. Let me tell you, today was raw and cold. I actually took my kids and my wife to Riverbank Zoo here in Columbia, at the lights of the zoo. Spent $50, and it was so cold and just miserable that, it was our faults too, because we don't really have any good gloves. That we were only there about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. Didn't really even do anything. It was just too cold, and we left. But just trying to get the most out of the Christmas season. But the weather kicked our butt. So here we go. This is tomorrow morning. Wake up in the 30s. It might be a little bit too cold showing that, but this is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is normally the warmest time of the day and this time of the year. 40s and even some 30s in the Carolinas and Georgia. And this is just, it's raining for a lot of these areas. So miserable day, miserable day. Now we take a look at this storm in the northeast, And here comes the latest GFS. It has continued to trend northwest. I mean, this was, 8 or 9 runs prior. I'm going to fast forward it all the way to the current run. This is a trend. It has just trended and continued to get closer to the coast. And a lot of people were talking about this happening, and it certainly did, which is good news for areas who won't snow in like Maine and mountainous areas of Vermont. But the closer this gets because of the coast, the more warm air is involved. So even if you got this thing right here, I think it's going to push too much warm air inland. So who knows? This might trend to the point where this is just a Canadian snow if it keeps trending too much. But either way, this is going to be some heavy snow as we get into Maine and maybe areas, maybe a brief snow in Massachusetts. But anyways, this is going to be a northern New England kind of event. But this is kind of one of them sneaky northwest trending events the last second, where y'all are going to get some snow as we get into Wednesday evening and overnight Wednesday and a Thursday to make that ground even more wider from the event that y'all got this weekend. And then if you keep going forward, another event. I'm watching this little piece of energy right here because this really might be a nice little light snow. I'm be interested what this looks like on these short range models for you in like New York City and Boston, heck, maybe even Philly. But this might bring some snow showers into the lower New England and southern New England and New York City as we're getting into Christmas Eve morning. So you guys might wake up with some flurries falling. That piece of energy gets off the coast, and then another piece of energy moves in just in time for Christmas morning. So that's what I'm talking about with an active pattern. This system looks warmer. All these systems look pretty warm, but this could, you could wake up in southern New England to a nice little, amount of snow, just a thumping of snow before it goes to rain. So a pretty active pattern. I'm interested in what these little small events look like in more of the shorter term, but you look at the European in that same scenario. European has also trended more northwest. So you have a nice snow event for the northern New England, Maine, and Vermont. And here comes that second event that I was just mentioning as we're getting into Christmas Eve. It's a little bit more north with this light precipitation, but some nice mood flakes to set the tone with some snow already on the ground in certain areas. Here comes that second storm just in time for overnight Christmas Eve. You're in these Canadian areas right in here. I mean, this is going to be a classic scenario where you have snow falling on Christmas Eve and overnight into Christmas morning. But this could be another nice little event for Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire. Maybe snowing all day, Christmas Day into Christmas, into the day after Christmas. So it's be interesting to watch. And then it shows another event, so very active stuff, very active pattern for the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, mainly the Northeast. And this is because this jet stream is situated to the north. So all the cold air is to the north of the jet stream, and all these systems are flying through the jet. And basically, it's just keeping all the energy to our north. But as far as snowfall, if this event continues to show what it's showing, this could be a nice several inches event for Maine and Vermont. And as far as what this does to areas like Nantucket and Newfoundland, this storm plows right into maybe areas of far eastern Nantucket and then eastern Canada in general. And it looks like you're all going to get the warm side of this storm. But this could be an intense storm as you're getting into your Wednesday and Thursday. So heads up if you're in Nantucket, and watch out. I'm saying Nantucket, I mean Nova Scotia. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, guys, my bad. I'm the U.S. I'm not Canada, but you guys have been so nice to me. I got a couple Canadians who have commented on my channel. I don't know why I'm saying Nantucket. I'm thinking about the Northeast, but Nova Scotia. Watch out, Nova Scotia, right here. This storm's going to plow right into you guys. If the trends continue, it's going to be a warm system with rain. But maybe y'all get a little bit of snow just in time for Christmas also. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. I really am hoping and praying. I don't like to pray about stuff with the snow because I don't feel like that is the best thing to pray about, But I'm hoping as we're getting to the end of the year and we're getting into early January that we can talk about a more active pattern, especially for us in the Southeast. Guys, it's I was joking. I think we're coming up on 3,000 days. If we make it basically through this winter here in Columbia, South Carolina, without accumulating snow, which is an inch or more, we will pass the 3,000 day mark since the last time we've been under a winter storm warning here in Columbia and Lexington, South Carolina, which is where I live. So it's getting kind of depressing, the fact that we just cannot get snow here. And my little girls keep asking about it, and I don't really know what to tell them. It's like, baby, it just does not snow here. So hoping we can reel one in for the Southeast, and obviously always pulling for you guys in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Starting to lose my voice. And y'all have a great Tuesday.